What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with my MLB Week 11 power rankings. And you can see here, biggest movers are the Houston Astros and the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, before we get into it, stories of the week, Braves, a 7-game losing streak. Obviously, this team is going nowhere fast. Same with the Phillies. This team was the best team in baseball 2 weeks ago. Since they're 1-9 in their last 10 games, looking to turn it around, hopefully this week. And then Monday morning, the news came out that Roman Anthony, Red Sox #1 prospect, got called up to the majors, anticipating his debut, and keeping Aaron Judge on here just because he's just doing things that we are not used to seeing this early into the season. Almost hitting 400, tied for second in RBIs and home runs in 23 and 50, and then first again in OPS. Now, 30 through 26 teams you expect to be here are 27 through 30. The A's at one point were like 22 and 23, and they just fell off a cliff. Um, Marlins struggled. Rockies swept the Marlins. First time I think they've had a sweep in over a year. White Sox played some competitive baseball. That's why they're made in 2 spots up here. Beat the Royals at home and split with the Tigers, the best team in baseball right now. And the Braves, they're creeping down into the territory of this. They might fall lower than some of these teams under them. Six losses in a row, three at home in Arizona, three at San Francisco. I get it's some better teams, but if they go in Milwaukee, at least lose two, and if they lose a series to the Rockies, this Braves team might be honestly in 29th, could be even 30th if they get swept by the Rockies at home. 21 through 25. There's a little hope here for 21 and 22 for the Angels and the Reds. Angels are a team that got Mike Trout back. This team just needs to find consistency. Hopefully they can build off of last week, winning both series at Boston against Seattle, two teams that are wild card teams as of right now. And then they get the Athletics at home, which they should beat them in a series, and then at Baltimore. So the Angels have a legitimate chance here to get to 500 this week if things go their way. Reds did get to 500. They swept Arizona at home, lost the series to Milwaukee. It's why they're only moving up 1 spot, but this week it's a lot tougher. They face the AL Central on the road, two top teams, Cleveland and Detroit. They can go 3-3 this week. I think that's a very good week for them. They're going to have to steal a few games, but this Reds team under Francona has been floating around 500, and I think they're just waiting to break out and get above 500 and stay above 500. Pirates, O's, and the Nationals. I think Pirates and O's are kind of out of it. I know the Orioles had a good week, but faced Detroit to start the week. They lose or get swept there, probably just falling right back down. But I think the Nationals can make the case to stay around 500. If they can go to New York and get a series win, probably will beat Miami in a series as well. This Nationals team could even go to 500 this week, but who knows how that'll go? Just because it is the Nationals and they're very inconsistent this year. 16 through 20, the only teams that move here in this slide are the Mariners, and that's because they had a bad week, get swept by Baltimore, then go to Los Angeles and lose that series. They have Arizona, Cleveland this week, so it doesn't get any easier. The Mariners are a team that is kind of like the Nationals, but the other way around. They're in the winning percentage of it. They're very inconsistent. Were potentially the front runners to win the AL West at one point this year, but they've since kind of faltered and let the Astros take over. Speaking of the AL West, you got the Rangers. Bad start to the week, get swept in Tampa, responded well, going to Washington and get that win. Easier set this week in Minnesota, get 3 against the White Sox. I think they can get back to close to 500, if not 500. Then you have the Red Sox, Diamondbacks, and Royals all going 3-3 last week. And, the Red Sox getting the series win in New York is a big one. Obviously, now New York comes to town this weekend. Diamondbacks had an interesting 3-3 week. Go to Atlanta, sweep them, go to Cincinnati, get swept, but they return home against Seattle and San Diego. It's a big week for them if they want to try to get back to 500. And the Royals, they're going to look to stay above 500 early in the week as the Yankees come to town, but they should get a few wins when the Athletics come to town. 11 through 15, there's a case that to be made for probably the Blue Jays and the Twins, even the Giants, to be in the top 10, but I think there's just a few teams just playing a tad bit better than them right now. Obviously, the Gardens fall out of the top 10 because they lost both series last week. Brewers, competitive series last week, they just fall down one. And then, like I said, the Giants swept Atlanta, split with the Padres, so they move up 3 spots as they go to Colorado, and the Dodgers need to win that series in LA for the Giants to keep up and keep pace with the Dodgers. And then we hop back to 11 and 12 with the Blue Jays winning both series against Philly and in Minnesota. Obviously, that's why the Blue Jays are above Minnesota. And then they go to St. Louis and Philly again. So if they can go in Philly, get a series win, into St. Louis, get a series win, no doubt the Blue Jays are going to be in my top 10 next week. And same kind of goes for the Twins. If they can beat the Texas Rangers at home and Houston on the road in a series, Twins will be for sure in my top 10 next week. 6 through 10, you have the Phillies falling, obviously 5 spots. And the biggest mover down this week is the Phillies going to Toronto, lose that series, then get swept in Pittsburgh. Cause for concern there. They get the Cubs at home to start the week, and then Toronto again at home. The Phillies, I'm not saying they're in panic mode, but they need to figure this out quickly because the Mets obviously are winning the division right now, and they don't look like they're going to be slowing down anytime soon. So the Phillies need to keep pace with them. I know it's just one bad week, but hopefully they can figure it out quickly. The Rays keep on winning baseball games. This team at home has been very good, but now they go on the road, face Boston and the Mets. They got to at least go 3-3 this week for it to be a semi-decent week because the Rays seem like they struggle when they are away from George Steinbrenner Field this year. Cardinals at 8 stay put, going 3-3. Lost the series at home to the Royals, but responded well with a weekend series win over the Dodgers. Then the Cubs, you know, I think it's a good series for them. I'm only moving them down 1 spot, but I think there's the argument that you could even move them up just because of how competitive they played Detroit this week in Detroit in a packed out crowd. They're probably, if not, if you exclude the Dodgers and the Mets super teams, the Cubs are probably the best team in the NL right now. But we're going to see what they're made of because they go to Philly this week. It's a big week, not just for record wise, but seeding as well, for wild card seeding if it were to come down to it, just because of the head to head and everything, if they did end up having the same record. And it's a big series, I think, for both these teams, more so the Cubs than the Phillies. Obviously, the Phillies need to get back on track, but the Cubs, if they can go in there, get that series win, they will prove that they are one of the top teams in the NL. And then the top team in the AL, besides the Tigers, is the Astros, the way they're playing baseball right now. Having a great month of June so far. I know it's early into June, but great month so far. A good run to the end of May, too, because this team was a few games under 500 heading into May, but they've started to figure it out. And look at that schedule this week. Three against the White Sox at home, three against the Twins at home. I would be shocked if they don't go 4-2 or better this week, just because their schedule is in their favor now for the next few weeks. Then 5 through 1, 1, 2, and 3 all stay the same. Tigers, they did go 4-3. A series win against Chicago convinced me that they should stay at top, and a little bias involved there. But when the Mets and Dodgers split against each other, that shows you that they're pretty equal right now. And the Mets swept Colorado, and Colorado was all right. I mean, it's Colorado, they're the worst team in baseball. You should do that. But then the Dodgers going to St. Louis and losing that series made me think that, maybe the Tigers should stay at 1. And I think that's kind of why I just left all three of those teams where they are. Now the Padres jump into the top 5, splitting in San Francisco and then going on the road to the Brewers and winning that series because the Brewers were one of the hottest teams in baseball entering last week. And what did the Padres get rewarded with this week? An early series set at home against the Dodgers, and then they travel to Arizona. So it's a big week for the NL West if you're looking to track some division races and whatnot in the standings. Definitely tune in because the NL West is where it's at this week. And rounding out my top 5 are the Yankees. They fall 1 spot because they did beat Cleveland like they did last year in the ALCS. And then they faltered to Boston, lost these games against the Red Sox. Obviously, big rivalry, starting some trash talk with Jazz Chisholm and the starting pitcher for the Red Sox on Sunday Night Baseball. And I love to see it in the sport of baseball. Maybe there should be some more trash talk. It's friendly trash talk. These rivals, when they've been rivals for so long that I think it would be good to kind of ignite that again. And we're going to see that again next Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Boston. Roles reverse this time. Yankees go into Boston. Maybe the Yankees will go in there and win that series, like the Red Sox came into New York and won that series. But regardless, it's a good week of baseball. Make sure you guys stay tuned.